But it's still fun, you know, because it's still that magic of when we show a movie, people walk out of the movie and they say, man, I love that movie. And I just love it when they say that. Or they come out and they say, I hated that movie. And I love it when they say that.
Cinema to me is not sitting in your living room alone, watching on maybe a huge wall-mounted TV and a great sound system. You've got the tech specs there. The presentation is excellent. But what you don't have is you don't have an audience.
Luckily, there's the internet. You know, people now just go to their phone and see what's playing. And unfortunately, they go to their phone to watch movies, which I don't understand at all. But that's, you know, that's a generational thing. Kind of like piercing and tattoos. So.
We have really good audiences here at the Naro. And because of that, we feel like we want to continue this as long as we can. We lease the building, and so that also presents a problem because the building is 35 years old.
The Naro Theater was originally built as the Colley Theater back in 1936. It was built by Mr. Wilder, who had several theaters in this area. I think the Commodore over in Portsmouth was one, the State Theater over there, and there are a few others here and there in Norfolk. And it was built as a B movie house because the big movie theaters were all downtown, the Lowe's, the Granby, the Norva, and all those. That's where all the action was. This was pretty much relegated as the B movie house. But it continued to survive through the decades, and then in the early to mid 60s, Robert Levine, who had some theaters already in the neighborhood, took it over from Wilder, and he renamed it Naro. He named all the theaters around here, and he had several of them around here. He named them all after his parents, Nathan and Rose. Their pictures adorn our lobby today. Enter Tom and Tinch. We had been friends since 8th grade, and I went to NC State, he went to Georgia Tech. We kept in touch and everything. Then when we moved back to Norfolk in 1974, we rented an apartment right down the street here, 731 Shirley Avenue. And the Naro was 5 houses away. And we used to come up here and watch the bad movies that they used to show. Suddenly, they showed 4 Bergman films here at the Naro. And it was great because all our friends would come to our apartment, we'd come down here and watch the movie and then go back and talk about it and everything. It was all very exciting. And everything changed at that point. It's suddenly movies, which up to that point had been Goldfinger and A Hard Day's Night and that kind of stuff, became film. And so we were just fascinated. We were blown away by these movies. But they only did 4 of them. And we came up here and said, why don't you do more of those things? And they said, well, we didn't even do it. It was somebody rented the theater and did it on his own. So Tench and I said, well, maybe we can do that.
Well, we're much more than a regular movie theater in the fact that being an independent and an old single screen where there's only 250 left in America now. The technology of film was invented in the late 1800s, and it's now the standard for film is 35 millimeter. It's still used today, and there's something like half and half of the theaters in this country, maybe a little less, are still film. But by 2013, next year, there's going to be what is threatened by the distributors is the end of film, that the labs are closing, most of them, and that because of that, they aren't going to be making film. They save money because they don't have to ship these heavy cans of film around the country to show. They save money because they ship a little hard drive. And they have subsidized the digital conversion going from film, getting rid of this 100-year technology of film, which we feel like is still the best, even though digital continues to get better all the time. Right now, we're okay, but by the end of next year, they're saying that we have to convert. Well, the conversion to a professional type of digital projection is somewhere in the neighborhood per screen around $75,000. So we could use our money in more ways because of the building being so old. It always needs repair, maintenance. We lease the building. We don't own it. But we are responsible for the maintenance of the building and for upgrades. So it's always something that's needed. Instead, though, what is being demanded of us is to put that money into buying new projection equipment that will present a picture that's really not any better at all than what we have now, that it's not going to increase our box office revenue. People aren't going to come and say, oh, the Naro has digital right now. They've converted. I want to go see a movie. No, that's not the case. No, we're not going to have more people come down here when we convert. So it's a penalty. It's a fee to stay in business. Is the Naro cinema important? Is this still as important in this day and age of your laptop computer and being able to see anything you want at any time you want? Is it still important to be able to experience a movie on the big screen with an audience? When we talk to people, they say yes. They say we can't close. They don't want us to go away.
We always thought it was impending doom. You know, when video hit, it's like, it's over. Then, you know, cable became more prolific. It's over. Then DVDs came around. Oh, it's over. And then, you know, high definition. And then, you know, so it's always over. But is it over? We just don't know, you know. I mean, attendance is certainly not what it used to be by any means, but that's true of any theater. I mean, now it's all about the event movie or movies that open each weekend. They're big for 10 days, and then that's it. You know, they're dead, usually.
Let's educate ourselves on, you know, first of all, is there a need for the Naro in the future? And if there is, how do we preserve, rather than making this just like a museum that's not operating, the best way is to come to a movie.